What is something you think people assume about you, but isn't actually true?
Well, maybe on the surface level, people assume that I'm American because I'm always doing the American accent. But who am I? What do people assume? I think a lot of people might assume that I'm more an athlete than a creative. But in my mind, I feel like I'm more of the creative first than anything else. Because even the way I think about basketball, when I play, I'm thinking more creatively.
Science. Technology. Medicine. Health. These four things make the world go round. Without them, we couldn't exist. This is the Monday Science Podcast, a weekly show bringing you the latest research and news in science, technology, medicine, and health, answering your questions or finding experts in the field to answer them. Your host is a pharmacist, an award-winning scientist. She leads her own research group and is the founder of King's College London Fight the Fakes. A tad bit on the qualified side. Welcome to Monday Science. Here's your host, Dr. Bahijja Abraham.
Let's going to talk more about your creative journey, because this interview is about you. I was looking at your stats yesterday and I went back and I was checking. I was like, wow. So as of yesterday, that gives away what day I recorded this, but whichever way, before this recording, I saw that you have over 126.7 million views, 3.2 million followers, and 70.7 million likes on TikTok. You have over 1.06 million subscribers on YouTube, and then you've got 229,000 followers on Instagram. Whoa. How do you feel hearing those statistics?
I have to look at the stats because it's the way I could track progress. I try not to get too focused on the numbers, because it's the balance between, I don't know, creativity or artistic and logical thinking. But I think it's so impressive that I can't really comprehend the numbers sometimes, and I don't think that they even truly reflect what's actually happening, because the view, for instance, the views is probably, my total viewership is probably a number probably in the billion area, because of, for instance, on YouTube, it is actually 500 million now views total. I've got more views there than TikTok, even though I've got subscribers. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's crazy how much views I've got there, and people sharing my content and not crediting me. This is something that is run rampant at this point, because it's nearly like some videos I have is like a sure shot, like it would get whoever's posting it views, because it's entertainment, let's be honest.
So I see. So when people repost, they won't tag you in it, but they will repost on their own page or, wow.
Yeah, this happens. I see this. Sometimes I come across my own videos on Instagram with millions of views. So, that's something that's on that side. But, in general, I think that it's amazing that so many people have seen my face and have been entertained, I hope, by the videos I make. It makes it, especially when I get messages and stuff and hear from people that have said that it's actually had like some type of positive effect. If it's like helps them through a tough time or just brought a smile to their face when they needed that, it makes it seem really worth.
No, that's amazing. And going back to, if you don't mind us just touching on the crediting, because I think that's something I see on Instagram where people are like, oh, can you please, or people say, oh, tag the person. Do you have, well, this is probably going to sound like a really silly question, but do you have quite a few fake accounts that you've seen, like people trying to pretend as if they're you on Instagram?
That hasn't really happened as much. It's more so like meme accounts and stuff like that they earn their money off the things that they post, because of maybe the quality of some of my videos. It's very easy to profit off of it. So I do get a lot of meme accounts that would just post my videos without permission and not credit. And, I try to track down the ones I can and either get them to credit me or try to get it removed, because I feel like that's unfair. I'm not asking people for money at this point to view I'm happy with people reposting my videos, but it's quite fair for the time and effort I put into the videos to be credited, I think, or anyone in that fact.
Oh, I 100% agree. And it's interesting because, I mean, probably the separate conversation, probably a really good panel discussion to have would be with other content creators, really much like policing of
No.
such situations, and then what happens if we get to the stage of trying to police that, and how would that work, and who takes responsibility? Is it the platforms such as Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, or I think that's a very important conversation, because people are profiteering and making money off stuff that you have created. You've got the intellectual property over it, but then because of just how social media platforms work, they can reshare without acknowledging you.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's it could be tough to navigate. It's kind of what comes with it.
Yeah. How do you decide? Because we talked about, was it Fred the fish? Yeah, Fred the fish. And so that gave us a bit of insight into how you come up with some of the content. But in general, how do you decide on topics, the content, and the concept of the?
I don't, at this point, I still don't have so much structure around this. I'm more like a crazy artist who's just going through their mood swings. And when I feel like doing something, I might make like 1,000 videos in a few days. But then when I don't feel uninspired, it could be tougher. But at the same time, I think for the most part, I go about when something funny happens, or when a thought comes to mind, I write it down, and eventually things start to connect. And then I say, finally, sit down, kind of write down a brief structure of how the video might work, what it will look like a storyboard kind of sketch idea. And then I...
Amazing. Make it sound so simple.
Yeah, it could be simple. It could be simple. I like that it's still something that I could afford to just do when I feel like it's going to be fun, and I'm going to enjoy it, because I'm still really enjoying. I don't feel like it'll be right for me. I don't want it to become a thing where it just feels like I have to show up and I'm not enjoying it, because I also feel like it won't be entertaining anymore and fresh in a way that it could come across now, because it does feel that I don't feel like I'm having to force it, and I feel like a lot of the ideas and concepts I'm coming up with, it's just like things that I just feel like, let me make this. That'll be fun.
That's good. So, I think that's good. And as you said, it keeps it light, keeps it authentic. But what has been the most challenging part of this creative journey for you?
I think connecting with that has been that now that I'm not playing basketball, especially, and now I'm a full-time content creator, there's more responsibility, especially when you have a large following. You want to show up for the people that have invested in clicking that follow button or that subscribe button. You have to show up for them. So I think the most challenging part has been to be able to find that balance between consistency and structure, and also with my gut feel and my intuition, and being able to balance that and be consistent with how I'm coming across, and not hold back too much, because I think it's easy for me to also feel like I have a lot of ideas and video ideas and stuff like that, but I could be too maybe perfectionistic, where it's like, if it's not the best idea in the world, like, why put it out there, and people just gonna hate on it, but then again, there's a lot of people that want to see something, that just want to see anything. They're not going to be one of the people that hate comments or something like that, So I think that's something that's still...
That's very interesting. And it's, I can imagine that could be quite a lot, actually. But I liked what you said, where it's you are respecting your following and the people who have invested in you. You show up for them. I think that's really nice. Before we started the interview, we were talking about your computer that you built in the background just randomly. So what other skills have you had to teach yourself? Not just about computer generated, but what other skills have you had to teach yourself on this journey?
Yeah, I think editing is a big one. I just got like a 10% battery, but I connected. Yeah, editing's a big one. I had some experience editing beforehand, but nothing to the level of stuff I'm doing. And that kind of everything has come naturally. When I have an idea, I have to kind of learn sometimes how to do that. And, it started off where I was just, editing everything on my phone, even some a little bit more advanced than myself, or splitting the screen and having myself interact with myself. But eventually things got more and more complex. And I've learned everything on YouTube, pretty much. I've learned everything on YouTube, and just kind of with some things that I don't know, have just like put things together in my head, like, when you know certain basics or fundamentals, you can kind of figure more stuff out. That's kind of how I've went along with the editing. And even, with the performance side, I think that's been tough too, because I've wanted to get into acting also, I've not had like a mentor or a teacher, a formal teacher. So sometimes it's hard to watch myself and be critical and really look at what I'm doing and be like, oh, do you know what? I could do that better, that's been quite tough. But I think for the most part, I feel that I'm improving in every area as time.
That's amazing. Editing seems to be a common challenge for a lot of people when they start. Editing. I actually had recently, I was using, only actually a few months ago, I was using some editing tool. Just, it'd be so stressful. I don't mind creating the stuff and talking and doing the interviews, but to edit would be so stressful, because there's also the risk of over editing when you're a bit anxious and you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that, or maybe this. And then I had an interview. I had somebody come on my podcast who's also a podcaster themselves. Shout out to Ron from Hacker Valley Studio. And he just happened to mention that, recommended this platform called Descript. And I was like, you are amazing. Thank you. And since then, it's made the process a little bit lighter, because as you said, YouTube is amazing. You learn so much from other people as well, and from what they've done, and bring it all together. So yeah, that's amazing. And I liked what you said about you started off with your phone, and then now do you use your like a laptop to edit, or do you still sometimes just do some stuff on your...
I can't remember the last time I edited. Actually, to be honest, I do some stuff on my phone sometimes still. Sometimes there's like a special effect or something that's just so much easier just to use one of those like little filters and stuff. But for the most part, I do all my editing on a computer, because it's a lot faster with the more advanced things. And especially when the stuff green screen heavy at the moment, and it's a lot faster to do it on a computer.
Okay, so now we know, get a green screen. Like, thinking of all the things. But okay, so we've just got a few more minutes left, and I want to get into who is the real Jesse Chuku? Who are you? Making it very intense. Are you ready? I'm like, who are you? Okay, so what is something you think people assume about you but isn't actually true?
Well, maybe on the surface level, people assume that I'm American, because I do, because I'm always doing the American accent, and actually in my videos, a lot of the time, the American could be considered the hero of the story, or kind of have the upper hand. But I think that's how it looks like on the surface level, because in my opinion, a lot of the times it's not that way. But who am I? What do people assume? I think a lot of people might assume that I'm kind of more an athlete than a creative. But in my mind, I feel like I'm more of the creative first than anything else. Because even the way I think about basketball, when I play, I'm thinking more creatively than.
That's really interesting. It's always interesting what you know about yourself, because I was going to say, what we know about ourselves as individuals, people roaming this earth, versus how externally people interpret the version of themselves we project. If I've said that right. So that's always quite interesting. What have you enjoyed the most about your journey and who you are?
I've enjoyed the most just making people laugh. Make myself laugh too, because I think that first and foremost, I entertain myself with what I'm doing. Is really fun for me. Every aspect of the creation part could be really exciting for me, and it's been an experience that's felt so new and fresh, nearly like I'm a kid again, and that's been really exciting for me. What's the second part of the question?
Oh, what have you enjoyed about your journey, but then also what do you enjoy about who you are?
Oh, I enjoy about who I am today, the growth in character. I think that I've gone through, especially in the past couple of years, because I've always felt like I've wanted to express myself more, and how I'm doing now, I'm proud of that I feel more complete of a person, that I'm not holding back certain parts of myself just to fit in a category or blend into a certain box.
That's amazing. What inspires you?
I think the the vision I have of my best self inspires me, and that's what I
am going to take that on board. I like that, the vision of your best self. That's amazing. Okay, so you've given us a lot of tips. Actually, I was going to ask you what tips you have for somebody starting or looking to create content for TikTok and YouTube, aka me. So yeah, what tips do you have on top of all the tips you've shared, to be honest? Anything else you'd want to add?
You know what, I think we have covered, like, I think that you're doing a great job, you know, especially specifically talking about you, because you've already put some structure that puts some pressure on you to do something, you know, because that's the hardest part, you know, of actually showing up for yourself. And when you have some structure in place, that this is what I have to do on Monday, you know, it becomes the hardest thing of actually taking action, which would be my tip, to actually just go out there and do it. You're doing that. And I think that for anyone else, that would be my tip, is that you could keep thinking about potential things and worries and whatnot, but this is not going to help. You know, if you really want to do something and you really want to live the fullest, I think that taking action is what you need to do.
Amazing. Thank you for that. What is next for you? Please tell us about any upcoming projects, that things we should look out for. Yeah.
In the meantime, I'm looking to make longer and longer type of content, especially on YouTube. I'm looking to go bigger and bigger, and hopefully get more people involved in the actual things, because it's fun playing 10 characters and stuff, but it's also limiting. So yeah, just bigger.
Amazing. And if you need a spare fish, I can jump in. Frederica. I'm actually going to go back and watch that clip. It made me laugh so much. Okay, we look forward to that, because from what it sounds like, there's just this, it feels like we're only just seeing like the beginning, even though people might think, oh, we've seen your content, we know, but just from this conversation and, you know, having opportunity to know a little bit more about you, I can feel that there's just so much more to come. And it's so exciting because, you know, yeah, I'm just excited to see what you create, what the longer content looks like. I'm probably gonna have to take some form of, like, I don't know, some form of medicine to keep my head on with all the laughter. If, you know, less than 1 minute clip or even 2 minutes can have me laughing from start to finish. You saw what I was like when you were just talking about the story. I had to put my mute. It's just too funny. So I'm just excited to know and see what you produce. And I'll put all details in the episode description. The last question, which I always ask my guests, is what, out of everything that you've spoken about today and everything we've discussed, what would you say are your key take-home messages?
Key take-home messages, I'll say to be connected and stay true to yourself and your authenticity and your intuition, most importantly, because that would guide you to know what decisions to make and if what you're doing is right. And secondly, I'll say to venture out of the comfort zone, to be bold enough to venture out.
You've been listening to the Monday Science Podcast, a weekly show bringing you the latest research and news in science, technology, medicine, and health. We hope you've gotten some useful and thought-provoking info from the show, and we hope you had fun along the way. We know we did. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on our website at www.mondaysciencepodcast.com. Shoot us an email at info@mondaysciencepodcast.com. Find us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube at Monday Science, and access episode summaries at mondayscience.medium.com. See you next week on the Monday Science Podcast.